Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the overarching macro strategy for map strategy and things like it, things that you're going to find on the map in Warborne. In Warborne, the goal of the game, essentially, on the world map is to make it so that your faction works its way to the center of Scorched City and takes the Forge Heart, becoming the sovereign warband. This is essentially a win. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win the season, given that each of the different hubs is going to give a different amount of occupation points, which is a type of um, thing that you're going to see on the leaderboard. For example, our current guild is fourth on the leaderboard simply due to occupation points. And you'll see that even violence is above the next person who has more hubs, but they have less points because of the style of hubs that they control, for example. Hubs are the name for the different hubs on the map. Harvester hubs, for example. In each of the zones, there is one. So, for example, the one in Stormscream Plains here is on the south side. It's currently owned by the guild Take Care. While you own the hub, you can see that the amount of energy level that you have in the hub itself will provide different features and unlocks that exist, from the vault being able to be accessed, being able to place your drift mark on or on the adjacent map, being able to deploy, meaning that you can use the fast travel system both to and from. I think it's actually just from this harvester hub. Yeah, deployed to two. This says two. And then the ability to conquer adjacent hubs. So, for example, you can't push from Stormscream Plains into Frost Ash Crater, regardless of how difficult it would be to do so, unless this hub would be level 3. So this one's level 2. All these arrows on the map mean that the next hub is level 3, and that next zone is able to be taken during wartime, right? In addition to these zones that exist, there are two other different style of hubs. There are strongholds, which are basically a hub inside of a walled fortress with like guns and stuff like that. That serves as a blocking point for getting past between faction sides, so the top and the bottom, for example, or from your main faction island onto the main island that everybody is on. You also have to go through a stronghold in order to get there. You cannot pass through these strongholds without owning them, meaning that if you wanted to live here in Severed Thicket, you would have to have this stronghold here basically say that you were able to pass through to get there. Otherwise, you couldn't live here. You'd have to live in Bloodrift and then walk over, for example. The other type is the capital. This is a brand new mechanic that exists in Warborne specific to the launch season. I believe that this is something that they plan on keeping in the game. Every faction has a faction capital. In the faction capital, it's going to give map resource bonus. In addition to the fact that there is a buff that is provided by the faction capital. I don't know if there's a way to see that buff or what that buff does, but it is managed by the guild that owns the faction capital. If, for example, we went and took, say, Purple's faction capital, we could not benefit from that buff there, as it's on their territory, so to speak, even if we're the ones that control it. And again, more of that is explained in the patch notes. If you go look at them, that's in my patch notes video. There's a link to the patch notes there. In order to level the hubs up, you have to power them up using these epic harvester energy shells, or, well, harvester energy shells in general. Epic just means that it is purple. Purple will give a 50 increase. Legendaries will give a 100 energy increase. Greens give a 2 energy increase, and then blues give a 10 energy increase. The amount of energy that you need in order to go up each level changes based on the level that it is. So to go from 0 to 1 doesn't cost anything other than that you capture it. From 1 to 2, it costs 100. And from 2 to 3, it costs 200, according to what I'm looking at. I don't know if that's accurate, but once you're Once you get the level up, for example, as I said before, you unlock different features. Inside the hubs, one of the features that you unlock is the ability to go down into the vault. The vault is something that is going to be filled with stuff to kill, with loot to collect. So, for example, here there are no chests in this vault, meaning that someone has already done it. But there are chests in this vault, meaning that someone has not yet. Higher level chests, higher level tiers are going to give you high level rewards, etc. Each of the different vaults that exists is connected to a vault system across the map. So, for example, the vaults that are here in Strangler's Pass are connected to all of the tier 10 vaults that exist in all of the tier 10 zones. There's one tier 10 zone like this in each of the different factions. I can't mouse over the vault and zoom out at the same time to show you, but trust me, it's connected to all of them. The same is true for all of these vaults. So all these vaults glowing here are all connected. All these vaults are connected. All these vaults here are connected, so on and so forth. And you just mouse over them to see that. Inside of the vault, right, there is a door to each of these different entrances, meaning that if I wanted to go from Mistwalker over to Toxic Hern, instead of walking up and around the map like this to get here, or across here to get here, what I could do is go into the vault. Once it's owned by any guild and there is vault access, you can go in and go to the next door, or you find the correct door for you to go through. This is called hub skipping. Hub skipping, basically what you do is you just count the number of doors in a clock, like in order for you to find where you're going to go. So, for example, if I wanted to go to Blackflow Basin, that's my end destination from Mistwalker. I would go into the vault in Mistwalker, and I would go 1, 2 doors clockwise in order to get there. You'll see what that's like when you get inside a vault without explaining more. But know that counting the number of doors in a direction is going to help you understand this system. And you'll notice that when you get down there, for example, there's a gap here. There will be a door missing in the spot where there is a gap most of the time. So it'll kind of help you navigate once you get down there. Other content that exists on the map while you're doing this hub faction progression system are going to be the scrap posts. There are medium and small scrap posts, which will just determine the number of people that are, like say, it is worth doing the content or the style of difficulty. It'll show you the recommended number of players, the level, which is really just the tier, and then the recommended power level that you want to be. It isn't necessary that you're at the power level, but it will make things easier. As things are higher level away from you, it will get harder and harder to a point of being impossible, especially if they are red to you, meaning that they're more than 5 levels above you. Don't quote me on that. Not exactly sure. Medium scrap posts are typically going to have much, much greater rewards than small scrap posts, but that doesn't mean that small scrap posts are not worth doing, because you can get things like legendary blueprints. As I said in my other video, very important, right? And it is a rare chance, but again, very worth doing. There is also gathering content on the map. There is also leveling content for the stuff that you can kill in order to get Fire Eater Trap tokens. A Fire Eater Trap is just a single mob summoned boss that costs a certain number of tokens that can drop things like a mount, a battle mount, for example. Again, legendary blueprints, mod cores. It is worth doing them. Sometimes they can be soloed. There are large, like very, very, very large ones. For example, like this in some of the Verge zones that require, this says 12, but I would bring a whole group to kill one of these, and it will take some time. So know that if you start one of these, it's going to glow on the map real big, and I can see it from hella far away, meaning that you're going to attract attention to yourself. You will probably get some kind of PvP doing bigger Fire Eater traps or bigger scrap posts, especially as you go towards other factions on the map, or in some cases are even doing their content sort of behind enemy lines in a way, right? The last type of Content here that I'm going to talk about is rifts. Rifts can be summoned in your drift mark on the bottom left. These are single or small team rifts in the rift scanner, so you can progress up the tiers. These are basically just like small mini dungeons that you can do. Hostile players can enter them. It isn't always the case, and if you expose them, especially if lower level solo rifts, you'll probably see they like to send bots in there just to, like, keep you on your toes, so to speak, so you're not just AFKing, or so that you also are not a bot just doing the content and don't get killed. In addition to the ones that you can summon, sometimes there are ones on the map, for example. I can't see them because I'm not close enough. They're noticeable, the larger rifts that can be done. Legendary ones can fit 7 people, purple ones can fit 6 people, so on and so forth, I think. Don't take me for that on my word. It's basically just a big room full of stuff to kill with a boss in the middle, drop some loot. Doesn't take very long at all. Should take you like 15 minutes maybe to clear the whole thing out, right? And that is assuming that you don't get any kind of PvP content in there. The whole entire point of the loop in general in this game is to force you to try to be doing the most risk for the least amount of reward, because when you die, you do potentially lose a piece, and in some cases, maybe when you get to the center of the map, more than a piece of gear. The last thing that I want to mention at all, not regarding content, but regarding one of the systems that exists around this style of content, while you're on the map doing content, collecting orbs, getting these supply chests, killing people, fighting, going to try to take over hubs, etc., there is a queue system that exists in the game. So if there are too many people in a map, more than 200, you're going to get stuck at the door queuing to get in. There's going to be a symbol right here at the top that'll look like a couple people to show you what number in line you are to get in. There's a whole different system around that specific mechanic that I'm not going to explain, but it is worth looking into, right? And while you're in queue, there's going to be like a thing here that'll show you when you're on the map. Let's say if you're in Strangler's Pass and I was clicked here, it'll show you who has prio or priority in the queue. These are players that are going to be defending an objective that's on the map, or have instigated a very specific type of attack during a wartime effort. Those people are going to get priority, meaning that those people are going to be the people that are going to be fighting. If you zone in and you're not high enough IP, if you're not actively in combat, if you're not one of the main participants of the combat that exists during wartime, you have a potential to be ported out, and then eventually you're going to have to just get back in the queue, or you're going to have to find content otherwise in a different spot. Hopefully all of this information helps you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you have anything to add, leave that in the comments. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow the channel, guys. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.